I'm really excited to be talking with you today. I know you're interested in making a difference in the world and living as healthy and as long as possible. Well, what we've discovered is that one of the most basic needs for health is water. Pure, clean, powerful water. Water is so vital to our existence on the planet. But how often do we really think about it? Most of the time, we just take it for granted, expecting it to endlessly flow. Well, that may be the case for us. But what about the rest of the world? How does water impact the world? What are our impacts on the environment? And how does water impact our health? Well, we'll answer these questions and more. What I'll be sharing with you today is water, from the global to the human to the microscopic perspectives. This documentary will provide you a fresh look at how health and longevity can be maintained, and how you can make a difference for yourself, your family, and the world. Our planet is a beautiful blue orb, glistening like a water drop in space. This blue glisten can be seen from our neighboring planets in their night sky, and seen even from outside our own solar system. This blue color is obviously unique. The Earth's surface is 75% covered by water, and water is the life giver of our planet. Water is the source of life as we know it. Without water, our planet would be like our neighbor, Mars. Dry, dusty, and in general, as we know it, devoid of life as it is on Earth. How could something so abundant cause a concern? When we consider the environment, we must consider that the Earth is an expression of who we are as a society and how we live. This environment is not separate from us. We are all part of a great cycle of biology that occurs continuously. Whatever we put into the environment will come back and be part of us, and what we put into our bodies will become part of the environment. I think you've all seen some representation of the water cycle. Water evaporates from lakes, rivers, oceans, and now from man-made uses, back up into the atmosphere, and then condenses and falls back to Earth as rain. The great cycle of water, and how water gets purified by the Earth. So in each step, man has an impact on the environment. Let's talk about one specific impact. How many of you out there drink bottled water? Almost everyone these days. Many of us recycle those bottles. You do recycle, don't you? We must raise up our commitments to minimizing our environmental impact by reducing wastes, going green, and recycling.
As an engineer and scientist, I was on the focus groups back in the 1980s that worked with the EPA to develop the curbside recycling programs that are in effect now. We imagined a zero-waste society, one where by the amazing year of 2010, there would be no need for new landfills, the Earth would have returned to its pristine state, and man would be a true caretaker of the planet. Well, we were excited, and we were saving the planet. We did truly make a difference, but now, as the film's Inconvenient Truth and the 11th Hour point out, the time is now to take real action. I've taken on the goal of minimizing the use of bottled water and raising consciousness about the harmful effects that the bottled water industry has on our health and the environment. I'm committed to making a difference in the world through environmental action and providing health and well-being for our fellow man. I invite you to join me in this cause. Each and every small action makes a huge difference.
The environmental impact of bottled water is threefold: plastic waste in the environment, energy and oil consumption, and the impact on local communities. Plastic is in our environment in so many places, and its use in the bottled water and beverage industry is alarming. Today, we're throwing away 2 million water and beverage bottles every 15 minutes. To give you a feel for how much waste this is, if we stacked those bottles one on top of another, they'd reach the moon not just once, but guess how many times? Well, our predictions for 2009 show the bottles would reach the moon more than 50 times. Our estimates predict that there will be over 72 billion plastic bottles used in the US in 2009. 72 billion bottles. That's a huge number. What happens to those water bottles? Well, some of them get recycled, almost 9%. What happens to the other 91%? Well, many of those wind up buried in landfills, where they'll remain for a couple of billion years, give or take. Some end up as litter, having been tossed out of the car window or thrown on the ground or dropped on the side of a trail. And these bottles wind up sitting in fields, on the sides of roads, and many get washed into lakes and rivers. The bottles then slowly find their way down sewers to streams and rivers, along with tons of other plastic trash, and end up in the oceans. This plastic litter is entering the environment at an alarming rate and causing all kinds of havoc with our oceans. Since the plastic bottles and bits of plastic float, not sinking to the bottom of the ocean, they remain in the water indefinitely. As they float, they slowly break down into very small pieces. These pieces concentrate in the oceans through the actions of the normal currents. This is the North Pacific Gyre. A gyre is a normal current that forms a gentle whirlpool. The one up here by the US and Canada now covers an area 4 times the size of Texas. And why does this matter? Just some plastic floating in the ocean, right? What harm can that cause? Well, what it's doing is displacing plankton in the water. Plankton is tiny plants and animals that form the basis of the food chain in our oceans. There is 6 times more plastic in these areas than the plankton. And these little pieces of plastic are being eaten by the next little creatures, which then become starved for food and expire. Seabirds are picking up plastic as it mimics their food, which then gets stuck in their digestive tract, causing the birds to die. Larger animals are finding it harder and harder to get nourishment. Studies on plankton-eating sea mammals are now just coming out, and massive impacts to plankton-eating whales have just been reported. We expect a crash in the fisheries not just from overfishing, but from the replacement of the food chain with bits of plastic. This plastic trash is one reason we want to eliminate bottled water. But let's also talk about the energy costs caused by bottled water. In many cases, bottled water is more expensive than gasoline. Part of that reason is that to make and transport bottled water from its source, for example, Fiji, to you, it takes significant amounts of fuel. A typical 6-pack of liter bottles takes 2 liters of crude oil to produce and ship. Yes, it takes that much oil to produce that bottled water and get it to you. I hope those points make you consider bottled water as an environmental disaster. Let's make a commitment to the environment and to minimize our use of disposable bottles and plastics. Use reusable water bottles filled with Kangen water to eliminate this waste. Now, I'd like us to consider the impact on local communities and the human disaster that's occurring worldwide. I mentioned Fiji a minute ago. Fiji is the United States' #2 source for imported bottled water. This actually was one of my favorites for drinking waters. So Fiji, a country the size of Connecticut, halfway around the world, is sending the US 250,000 liters of water per year. Now, here is the harsh part. At the same time, the Fijians are having domestic water issues of significant health proportions. That's right, during a prolonged drought and with national infrastructure issues, Fiji is sending their spring water here to the US. Families and children right in Fiji are suffering with no access to clean water.
Nearly 1.1 billion people on Earth today do not have access to clean drinking water or sanitation. That's 1 out of 6 of us. Unclean drinking water is a primary cause of illness and death among children under the age of 5. A child under 5 dies every 15 seconds worldwide from the lack of clean drinking water or access to water at all. In the time it takes for us to give you this presentation, 120 children will have died. We must change. This is just not acceptable.
12 million people die per year from the lack of clean water, 6 times more than die from the HIV/AIDS virus. Lack of clean water is an easily cured situation in most cases. It is not uncommon for a girl to walk 6 hours a day carrying up to 5 gallons of water. That's 40 pounds to provide for her family. Women and children around the world spend their whole day gathering water just to meet the needs of their family.
These stories are too common, and the most heartbreaking ones, even more common. Many of us have chosen to support Charity Water and their efforts to bring clean, safe drinking water to developing nations. We invite you to join us in this cause and help us to raise funds to build water projects through Charity Water. Together, we can make a difference.
Now, Brandy has just shared with you the devastating impact that a lack of clean water has on underdeveloped nations. Now I'd like to share with you how dehydration and over-acidity are impacting the health and well-being of people in our society. See, research has determined that the causes of most diseases and aging are dehydration and over-acidity. Dehydration is the lack of proper water in the body, and over-acidity is the overpresence of acid and acidic compounds in the body and blood. Bottled water is also misleadingly labeled. A picture of a mountain, a spring, and some flowers. Well, maybe not. Guess where Everest water comes from? Corpus Christi, Texas. Nice town, industrial, but nowhere near Everest. Alaskan Falls water, Worthington, Ohio. Yosemite water, Los Angeles. Bottled water is 1,000 times more expensive than tap water and mostly acidic. Plus, 1 in 3 bottles tested was contaminated. Add that to the environmental impacts, and how are we doing with bottled water now? Hydration is fundamental to health and well-being. If you look at the way the body is designed, we're 75% water. And water has an active part in every cellular function. Just like a plant will wilt and possibly die when it doesn't have enough water, we wilt when we're dehydrated. Current science has ignored the fact that hydration is a prime source of health.
I had studied all these great diets and healthy ways of eating. I really had a good diet myself. I knew that sports drinks, coffee, and sodas were bad for me, and I'd taken on the Paleolithic diet. This diet is high in leafy greens, vegetables, and proteins, a diet designed to be more like what early man would eat. This was great for me. I lost 10 pounds, and I was feeling very good, but I plateaued and wasn't losing any more weight. A friend then introduced me to alkaline hexagonal Kangen water, and the following month I lost an additional 12 pounds. I was excited. I was like, wow, there really must be something going on here. I researched a little more and found thousands of success stories just like mine. At first, I thought all these claims, how can they be true? Drinking clean, pure hexagonal water is good for me? Sure, I lost weight, and I was an example, but how could it so dramatically impact so many processes in my body? My joints no longer popped when I walked, my stamina had greatly improved, and so had my sleep patterns. So I took my scientist and engineering mind to research all of this water and health stuff. And here's what I learned. Just like the earth, you are also 75% water. All your chemistry, enzymes, hormones, tissues, cells, and even the toxins in your body are swimming in the water you're drinking or not drinking.
As acid builds up in the brain, joints, and tissues, cellular damage begins to occur rapidly. Connective tissue is broken down. Proteins aren't built. Even good food and nutrients aren't properly taken into the body. Nobel Prize winner Dr. Alexis Carrel found that your cells are immortal. Their mortality is caused by toxins both in the cell fluids and surrounding the cell. He said the pulsation of life may go on forever. Get a little dehydrated and bam! Suddenly, these processes are out of harmony. Your cells are bathed in a water solution. So once you're dehydrated, acid and toxins concentrate around your cells. And because these toxins aren't being washed away, the acidic processes are suddenly less buffered by water. And these toxins and acids slowly poison your systems. Just ask anyone who gets migraines what happens to the brain when they're dehydrated. So how does this disease progress? A disease we can call chronic dehydration? Well, when we're born, we're like nice, juicy grapes. And as we age, we get more and more like a raisin. Our bodies move from hydrated to dehydrated. A baby is nearly 95% water. An adult is 75%. And as age and illness take effect, the body's hydration drops to 60%. And upon death, hydration is nearly 50% for many. Let me tell you a story about a friend of ours who's very often tired. I knew it had been documented that being lethargic may be related to water intake, so I asked her about her hydration. Have you been drinking any water? Her response was, oh yes, I've had plenty to drink today. I had 2 cups of coffee, 2 iced teas at lunch, a couple of Diet Cokes, and a glass of wine. I'm sure that's plenty. The book, You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty, shows case after case just like hers. So essentially, she's drinking 6 servings of diuretics and sprinkling artificial sweeteners in 4 of them. On top of that, she's taking untold numbers of medicines to basically deal with dehydration and overacidity. No wonder she feels lethargic. Most drugs are highly acidic in nature. Medical journals consistently state that hydration and an alkaline diet are the 2 primary keys to health and longevity. When someone is rushed to the ER, the doctors immediately order an IV to rehydrate the patient. Let's not go to the ER for our hydration. Aubrey de Grey of the Methuselah Foundation has put forth that there are a limited number of processes which cause aging. Many of these processes can be slowed or reversed by proper hydration. Toxins, cancers, telomerase reduction, and cellular death can all be minimized by proper hydration. What I'm saying here is not that water can cure you, but that when toxins are eliminated, the body is clean and then heals itself. Dr. Otto Warburg, another Nobel Prize winner, showed that disease and cancer cannot live in an alkaline environment. So no wonder disease and aging are related to dehydration and acidity. So what's gonna keep you healthy, younger, and vibrant? Not the next amazing pill, not some crazy new pillow, or genetic manipulation. It's pure, alkaline, hexagonal Kangen water. A 1% increase in hydration yields a 4% increase in athletic performance. I'm sure all of you would enjoy a 4% increase in health for pennies a day. If the health of the entire body is based on having the right amount of water inside the body, what other processes are being disrupted by dehydration? As the body must ration water for use, it ensures that the brain and heart are supplied with water. So if the body is that much water, wow, so much depends on the water we drink. Studies and reports show that most non-infectious disease is hydration and acid related. Diseases like high blood pressure, heart disease, brain disease, and problems with elimination, removal of toxins, and so much more. So, by being hydrated, your body will be more readily able to control acidity, remove toxins, and properly utilize food and enzymes. Additionally, long-term illnesses can be reduced or eliminated in a few weeks or months. Dr. Batmangalid's books give many examples of these sudden changes in the well-being of countless patients. Dr. Shinya, another renowned physician, states that he has seen over 300,000 patients and none have had a recurrence of their disease after following his diet, which includes Kangen water. Wrinkles, skin problems, inflexibility, joint pain, and weight gain are all symptoms of dehydration and overacidity. Now, we've established that disease and illness thrive in a dehydrated body. So now let's talk about pH and its impact on health. The body must keep its pH balanced. The blood must stay at 7.4 pH. So if you maintain an acidic diet like most people in the Western world, you tend to eat high amounts of protein and sugar, drink soda, tea, coffee, and consume other acidic and dehydrating foods and beverages. In order to avoid damaging the body, these acids must somehow be eliminated. When there is an overload and not all of the acids are able to be carried through the digestive system, the body will store them in fat cells instead. See, this is the body's way of keeping the acids from harming vital organs and usually results in weight gain. So as the body becomes more acidic, it tries to hold on to fat to buffer the acidity and toxins. So yes, many people are fat from overacidity and dehydration. The body also buffers this acid by leaching calcium from the bones and stealing minerals from other processes. Water is the key to life on our planet and wellness for us and our families. In each of these cases, there is a solution, and that is Kangen water. With a Kangen water system, you'll be able to minimize or eliminate the use of bottled water and bottled beverages, therefore making an impact on the environment. Drinking alkaline hexagonal Kangen water generates more hydration than other methods. Hydration and an alkaline diet are critical to your health, longevity, and well-being.